Sometimes you just don't know how much you're loved by God till you have kids. I can't tell you how many stories of where the Father has met me, the Heavenly Father, in His love and His mercy through my children. It's the great gift of God to have children, to realize that if you, being evil, love them, how much more does your Heavenly Father love you? I can remember one of the times that has dramatically shifted my interior life in the way that I posture myself before God and I relate to Him was when I had 3 small children, Samuel, Jonathan, and Joshua. I think Samuel was probably 6, maybe 7, Jonathan 5, maybe Joshua 3. And I can remember as a parent, I needed a breakthrough with my middle son. You know, Samuel came out of the womb very much like me, very independent, very just doesn't cry. I can remember he broke his arm. He went down the slide with a rocking horse the first time and said it was really fast, but the second time he broke his arm and we're sitting there. I took him to the hospital and he's like moving his arm, going, "Dad, look, I'm not even crying." I'm like, "Stop it, I'm crying," you know, and just very resilient, very independent, and real close. Jonathan, we prayed that God would give us a cuddly son, so to speak. I think Rachel prayed that. I just wanted, glad to have another boy, but Jonathan came out very sensitive, and if I went to discipline my oldest son, he would kind of look at me and go, he'd kind of rank it how good I did on the discipline, and then kind of give me a look like, "That's your A game? Really? Was that supposed to hurt?" But Jonathan, my second son, he would just get wigged out. Like if I would go to discipline, he would just start. He would just, and so I couldn't relate to that. I'm like, "Hey, I haven't even done anything yet," and so I just didn't know how to relate. I needed a breakthrough at the heart level with him, and I remember asking the Lord, "Hey, I need this breakthrough at a heart level with my middle son who's dear." And so I remember I came home one day, and it was a fasting day, and I felt very sick. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the day before I ate chili dogs and sugar and white flour and just everything bad, that I could. Just kind of drank corn syrup or something. But the next day I was just so sick, fasting, and I was detoxing, and something was wrong with my stomach, and I came home, and I'll never forget it. I remember I could hear something going on through the front door when I went to go unlock it. And I knew, oh my goodness, it's one of those days. And so I unlocked it, I pushed the door, but I had to get to the toilet. I was having serious stomach issues. I had to get to the toilet. And as I opened the door, I looked up, and when you would come in our door, the living room would be here, and you'd go up a half flight of stairs, and there's the dining room table and the kitchen. So as I came in, I could see, and I could tell by the look on my wife's face and the hair thing going on, I could tell it'd been a hard day. And they were eating, probably missing their mouths, most going on the wall everywhere. And if you've ever tried to feed 3 little kids and boys, good luck. And so I knew, don't make eye contact. I came in, don't make eye contact with Rachel. It's like looking a grizzly bear in the eyes. Just don't. Just put your eyes down, walk straight up, and then down to the room and get to the bathroom. Don't make eye contact, because this woman is going through PTSD right now, and she will bring you in. You just got to get to the toilet. That's what I was thinking, if I'm being honest. And so I don't make eye contact. I come in, I shut the door quietly. I'm in the bathroom, and as I'm sitting there, I hear my wife, Rachel, just raise her voice, which she doesn't hardly ever. She raised her voice and she said, Jonathan David Hood, how could you? How could you spill Kool-Aid on my carpet? How many times have I told you not to drink Kool-Aid on the carpet? And suddenly I realized, oh no. And then she said the worst sentence. Go to your father. He's going to spank your bottom right now. I just went, oh no. Oh no. Number one, I'm stuck on the toilet. Number two, it's Jonathan. He's not going to let me spank him. And she committed me to the highest form of discipline, people. Spanking. I'm just like, no. I can't even get the belt out without him convulsing on the ground. And I guess this is horrible. But you know what? But I knew, well, I'll just say it. Hey, single guys, I'm going to give you some free advice right now. When your wife's hair is like doing that thing and she got that grizzly bear thing and the kids are going crazy thing and she says something like, go to your father, he's going to blank, 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 you better blank, blank, blank. That's all I'm telling you. You better come through. If you don't come through for your wife in that moment where she's got 3 little ones and she's going through it, if you don't come through, you'll hear about that thing 20 years later. You might be 78 years old and she'll go, it's like that time when trust me, take notes right now, come through for your wife in that moment. And so I'm sitting there going, I got to come through. If I don't, this is husband 101. I'm going to pay for this down the road. But I'm sick. And Jonathan fights me. Like he wigs out. I don't even do anything. Oh. And she's committed me to the highest form of discipline. This is terrible. I'm sitting there, Jonathan walks in, and I just look at him, and I go, Jonathan, just go sit on the bed. I'll be done. I'll get there as soon as I can, son. And as I'm sitting there, I'm going, God, help me. Oh, God, deliver me. When suddenly, as I was sitting there on that great white throne, suddenly a divine idea shot from heaven into my mind, and suddenly it dawned on me. I called Jonathan in. I said, Jonathan, here's the deal. I got an idea. What if I technically touch the belt to your bottom, but you don't feel the belt touch your bottom? So that legally I can say I spanked you, I came through, but you won't even feel it. It's like touch like a feather, touch like a feather. I've come through. You don't have to wig out and fight me because it's not going to hurt at all. But we get to tell Mom that I did it. Now, I know you wives are out there go, that's the kind of thing that undermines. No, I'm just, at this point as a young father, I'm just hanging on, feeling sick. Jonathan didn't get that nuance at all as a little 5-year-old kid. He didn't. He did not get the nuance, unfortunately. And so I came in, I sat on the bed, and I go, remember, Jonathan, you don't need to wig out. You don't need to fight me. Because though the belt is going to touch your little jeans, you're not going to feel it touch your little jeans. Capiche? Are we connecting here, son? Are we in this together? And he says, he shakes his head yes, but he don't mean yes. Because it's immediately as he lays over my lap with his little bottom right there with his jeans, suddenly I can see it. It comes from the feet and just starts moving up the legs. And then he just, and he's wigging, and he reaches behind and grabs both of his cheeks. And he screams, mercy! Dad, have mercy! I'm laughing now. I wasn't laughing then. I was so sick, I felt like I was in a movie, just going, what is going on? He grabs his bottom, and I can remember at that moment, I knew I was in a divine time. And the reason why is because I had always offered mercy to my children. In fact, my spiritual father had kind of told me this. He had told me how to deal with kids when they do something wrong. He goes, ask them what they think they should do. If they were the father, what would they do? And he goes, kids are the darndest things. And I would do that, and they would be like, what do you think I should, if you were me, son, what would you do for discipline? And they're always like, take away my Legos for a year, put me without food for a month. And they would just go into all these crazy big things, and then I would go, well, no, that's probably too much, but I tell you what I'm going to do. You deserve this or that, but I'm going to have mercy. In fact, I'm going to have mercy, and then I would explain that though they deserve it, I deserved to be outside of God's presence because of my sin. But the Lord had mercy in Jesus Christ on the cross and forgave me of my sin and brought me near when I didn't deserve it. And actually, not only forgave me, He blessed me. And then we would go out and get ice cream or something as a confirmation of that mercy. And I'd always extended mercy to them. Would you like me to have mercy? And tell them about the gospel. But I never had a son ask me for mercy. And so I knew I was in a divine moment because I needed to respond rightly, because a son in his fright, in his fear, asked me. And so I remember sitting him up and looking at him and saying, Jonathan, I want to have mercy. I go, but do you know, this is the only house your mother's ever had. She grew up as a pastor's daughter in parsonages, and when I was first in the ministry, I had parsonages, and she had the house we had in seminary. You couldn't clean it. It was the ugliest carpet and linoleum flooring, and the toilet was rotten where you felt like you were going to fall through the crawl space down. And I drug her around in ministry from bad house to house, and this is the first house we ever had bought, and a starter home, and it was hers. You could keep the carpet clean, and it was beautiful to her, and it was a treat from God. And I said, Jonathan, when you spilled that Kool-Aid, you spilled it right there at the front entrance where everyone's going to see it now. I said, I'll have mercy on you, but you got to tell me, are you sorry for what you did? And will you try not to do that again? And then something popped up. I don't know where it came from. I think it was a divine just impression. I said, I'll have mercy on you, but only if you'll let me hold you till I'm done. The reason why is my middle son didn't like me showing affection. He couldn't take it for some reason, and I needed a breakthrough where I was able to have that kind of affection with him. So it just came out of the blue. I will have mercy, but you've got to let me hold you till I'm done. And so I went and I locked the door and I unplugged the phone. Back then, phones, back in the early, 1600s, we had phones with cords. You don't know about those now. You don't even know what a cord is, or even the cord on the phone that gets tangled up that you couldn't. But back then we had phones that plugged into the wall, and if you unplugged them from the wall, which was kind of like the do not disturb thing on your phone, we unplugged it from the wall because I knew the enemy would try to interrupt this precious moment. And I locked the door and I leaned back. I held him. I said, okay, do we have a deal? I get to hold you till I'm done. And I remember leaning back on the bed, and he was on my chest, and he just kind of, he didn't like it. He just didn't like it. He just was fidgety. I can't think that's the word, fidgety. Just kind of. And I went, no, I get to hold you till I'm done. And I'll never forget it. About 5 minutes in, I felt him give way. I felt him just rest. He wasn't striving. He wasn't fidgeting. He just, for the first time, he just laid there, trusting in my love. And in that moment, I heard the voice of my Father speak to me and say, Alan, that's all I ever wanted to do, was to hold you. Would you let me hold you till I'm done? You work so hard at trying to perform for me. You work so hard at trying to do all these things for me, but you don't trust in my affection, my love. Would you let me hold you till I'm done? I remember laying there with him on my chest as waves of the Father's love broke into my heart. And I began to weep there while holding Jonathan. And I realized that if I delight in holding this little kid who's got serious issues, who's not mature at all, but I delight in him, how much more does the Heavenly Father delight in me? Now that I've said yes to him. But had I ever rested in his love? I remember having to get up from that time with Jonathan, and we had to go to a small group. Basically, I was the leader of the small group, so I had to go. I didn't want to go. I felt sick. Any leaders of small groups ever felt that way? And I remember we went to the place where the small group was, and I was leading it, and I took him down, and in the basement we would have the children, and one of us would go down there and teach the children in games and different things while the other adults were up there. And so when I went to take Jonathan, wouldn't let go of my hand. And when I took him down to the basement, he said, Daddy, can I stay with you? And he held my hand that whole small group time, an hour to 2 hours there on the couch. He just held it. And then about 2 weeks later, I remember he came in and he said, Daddy, would you do that hold me thing again? And I remembered the Father's love, and I thought to myself, the transforming power of mercy, the transforming power of resting in our Father's love. Oh, that we would let him hold us till he's done.